Hello everyone, it's Carol here at Oak House Journals, and today is a new day because yesterday really was a bad assignment day. If you saw my video for week 4 of Margarete Miller's 2024 Collage Weekly Challenge, you will know exactly what I mean. Wasn't good. I really wasn't happy with the end result. And my bad day continued after I switched off the camera because I started looking at my choices for assignment number 5, which is the one I'm going to do today. And this is what I came up with. I don't know what I was thinking about. I'll quickly go through the prompts and explain, but suffice it to say, I went to bed still not happy with these choices and woke up this morning with a completely different idea in my head for today's assignment, and I'm hoping that's going to work better. So let me quickly go through the prompts with you. The sewing item I was going to use with this idea was Brontë patterns, so I was going to use the paper from one of those. Something your state of country is known for, well, yep, the iconic red London bus because I'm here in the UK. An item representing a childhood memory, well, I was going to go with this to symbolise lilos and rubber rings and floats, because we used to have a beach holiday every year, and invariably I had popped my previous year's lilo or rubber ring, and the first thing we did was go to a shop and buy a new one, and that was the start of our beach holiday. So that's why I've got that float aid there. Something ornate, well, down here I'm not sure if you can tell what these are. These are crowns. This is a crown, that's a tiara, and I'll tell you what I was going to do with those in a minute. Something that starts with L, well, I was going to go for the word London because of my London bus. And a bonus, something pink. I was going to go for one of these two flamingos, and what I was going to do was put as my something ornate one of these on its head. I was going to manipulate the rubber ring and put that round its body, and then have the London bus down here with the word London underneath. And that was my idea, but I really wasn't happy with what I came up with. So suffice it to say, I've ditched all of this. So let me pop this off to one side, get it out of the way completely, and let me bring in the prompts I've now decided I'm going to use. Okay, so here we go. Here's my prompts, and here's my lightweight cardstock, and these are the pieces that I've chosen. Might be a bit staid and boring, but at least I think I can do something out of these that will be a little bit more cohesive than my original ideas from yesterday. So very quickly, going through them again, a sewing item. I've got this piece of coffee stained paper with a stamp of 100 yards of button thread. Something your state or country is known for, well, the UK is known for its royal family, especially what's been happening over the last few years. So I've got some stamps down here. I've got a couple here of our late Queen Elizabeth II, and I've also got this Silver Jubilee stamp, halfpenny stamp there. The third prompt is an item representing a childhood memory. One endearing memory that I've always got of my childhood is reading and books. I can't imagine a day in my childhood when either a book wasn't read to me or I wasn't reading. I love literature, especially English literature. So what I've got here are some Jane Austen stamps, or I've got this. Now this is a first day cover, and these are all of the Brontë sisters, so I thought I might use one of those on my piece if I don't use the Jane Austen ones. What else have I got? Something ornate. Well, I've picked this little image of a country church. Churches are always or usually ornate. This one looks a lovely little simple country church. In fact, I know this little chapel, and inside it's got an absolutely beautiful altar, really ornate. So I'm going with that. Something that starts with the letter L. Well, these are letterpress printed book plates. They're rather fun, so let me lift one out so that you can see it. There we go. It says, this book belongs to, and you'd write your name in there, may thunderclouds misfortune follow any that remove it from its rightful home. I just think that's so sweet. And as I said, this is a letterpress Libris or ex Libris label, so I'm going to use that. And it says on the back here, if I close that up and read through the glassine, It says on the back, this one is inspired by the style of marginalia found in the 15th century French Book of Hours, including a small snail seen in the British Library London manuscript Yates Thomas. And that's the little snail that they're referring to there. So I'm going to be using one of those. And finally, bonus, something pink, and this is a lovely English rose. And my idea with all of this is that English gardens are famous, royalty is famous, we've got British authors there as well, so I'm hoping this gives a better cohesive collage today if I can put it together in some semblance of form. So as usual, I'm going to pop these to one side. The first thing I need to do is get this onto my page, and I'd like to get as much of the pink in as possible, so I'm going to just trim this to size so that it fits nicely on my page, and I'll glue it onto there and I'll be back. Oh, that is such a pretty image, and I love the look of it glued on here. I perhaps should stop now and quit whilst I'm ahead today, because oh, it just looks gorgeous. I love that. It's an off-white, almost with tones of pink in the background at the bottom here, more beigey coloured up there, or cream up there I would say. But oh, it's absolutely beautiful, that image. And let me tell you, it comes from this book, and I've mentioned these books before. This particular one, or this image, came out of this book, and so did this actually, funnily enough. England is a Garden, Wayfarer's Companion by Catherine Hamilton. You can pick these up for a couple of pounds if you look in second-hand shops or recycled bookshops online. The images in terms of the flowers are a bit large, but you can use them, and I just think they're absolutely stunning. And there are several different ones of these. You can get Cumbria is a Garden, the West Country is a Garden, there's another one. So there are different ones. This one is a particular favourite of mine, so it might be worth checking it out and looking for this one if you are interested. I'll put the details in the description box below the video, along with the ISBN number for you, so don't worry about that. Okay, so back to this. I've got that on there, and I have deliberately put it on upside down. That image ought to go that way. I've put it on this way around because I want to make use of those colours up there. So I'm going to get this on, and I'm going to put it on centre stage, but obviously I need to trim it down and make sure it's square. I like to keep as much of this image as I can, but obviously I haven't got much room to play with on my page. Slap bang in the centre, that's what I wanted. I probably will have to take away more there. So anyway, let's get playing with some of these pieces. This one, loving the text, and I'm loving the ornate features. Not so much the little snail down there. And I'm wondering whether or not I can maybe just get the text in for some interest, and this is where I may well have to trim this a lot closer, but let's just have a little bit of a play for the moment. So I could do, I'm not going to be able to get much in here, am I? I could trim this along here so that I can fit this on and get a hint of writing. Let's have a little look and see what it looks like. Oh, that looks quite nice. Just getting a little hint of the writing peeping out on the right hand side. Again, don't like that snail, but I think I can probably maybe put one of my stamps on that to hide it. The colour of these two is almost identical, so that's not really ideal, but I can always put something on top like this to break that up, make it less noticeable. I'm going to take a smidgen off that side and a smidgen off this side so that I can play with this a little bit more. I am wondering whether or not to cut it across there so that I just have writing down this lower portion, but I'm going to just leave that as it is for the moment. This, I think, is too big for down there, and it covers up too much of my writing. I could just use the circle down there, but if I'm covering up that snail and using that, because this is so big, it's pulling it right into the centre and it will dominate. So I'm wondering about maybe tucking it up in here, but I am going to cut round this circle, so let me do that. So you see what I mean? If I put that down in there to cover that, It's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it still makes, it is still pretty dominant there. Just going to pop it up here. This is almost the same colour tone as these leaves up here. And we're moving into the beige up here, as I mentioned, the off-white and the cream, whereas down here it's pinky. And this colour tone of this piece works better here, especially against these leaves as well. So in my head, I'm thinking that that is a better location for it rather than down here, and that's why I will put it up here. I'm lining the top of this up with that top line there, and I'm bringing it in from the border. I'd love to go with the red, but the red against the pink won't work. I could break it up by putting it on this corner here so that the red isn't immediately next door to the pink, and that would give me a pop of colour, but I think it will clash. As much as I love this stamp, the colour isn't right, as you can see, so that one's got to go away. And then there's this one of Queen Elizabeth II, and that would probably work nicely there, I think. This looks very dominant down here and isn't working for me at all. Instinctively, I've gone for the brown tones with some green here rather than any of these. And also the orientation of the stamp as well, if I'm going to be putting it down there in this area. These, I love them very much, but I think the colour tones might not be right. Oh, maybe not. This one actually has got pinks and, ooh, quite liking that actually. There's pinks in the gentleman's smoking jacket and also in her gown, which picks up that. And strangely enough, I didn't think that would work. It might not work in terms of it brings the eye straight down to this portion first. I still think we've got too much with this going on. Wondering about that stamp and keep it fairly neutral. I'm going to take away just underneath this line here, and I've cut that stamp too big, so I need to trim it down. Something's not working for me and I'm not quite sure what it is. I think it is this, and also that this is too big, so I'm going to try trimming those down and see how I get on. So first of all, I'm going to trim down this portion here, and I'm going to try taking a little bit more off the bottom of this, and that way I should be able to get a bit more of the pink showing. I'm trying to line up this bottom corner with the F there and with the L's above, and then I know it's square. If I pull my stamp over there so I get that word in home there and hide the snail completely, I could even maybe tuck in this, and then it looks like this is a continuous piece, and I'm actually liking that. So I'm going to go with trimming this down a bit more and doing that. I'm going to commit to this layout and keep it nice and simple, and yeah, I'm going to glue all these pieces in place and position it onto my page. So for this, I'm going to use that natural line there and try and get in that goldy colour there that I wanted, and then also tie that piece in with this, not too far away from that. So that's my idea with this. I'm just going to pop that down on there gently, see how that sits. So that's close enough to that. This, I've got some of that colour tones peeping out from the side. I've more or less got the same border width on either side, so I'm happy with that. I am wondering whether to stitch around this one. I think it would be nice. I know this is more towards the top, or it feels like it's more towards the top than the bottom. Because there's less going on down here, it makes it feel like that, and obviously it's heavier along the top with the dark greens there. I'm just wondering whether or not there's anything else I can do to this to actually sort of even it up, but I'm not averse to how it's looking at the moment. Obviously another stamp down there would kind of bring the eye down, and actually I could live with that. That might be too much putting those in. Do you know, I'm actually liking that. Maybe move that a bit across. I think what's happening is I've got that little bit of the check mark for the stamp, which I could go in and actually stamp a circle down there and complete it. If I pop that on there, it's hidden, and there's a natural line underneath her folded arms for this to pop underneath. And this one almost seems to sit quite nicely up there, even though her gown is blue. The gold tone of the Queen's head, again, like we had down there, is almost working with that stamp up there. Well, I was going to leave this as I had it before without adding these 2 additional stamps on, but I actually quite like how it's broken up the background. So I'm going to go with adding these extra stamps onto the collage and use it as a suggestion of how much I liked my literature back in the day. So there we go, everybody. That's my finished piece. By adding this stamp on the left hand side, I have narrowed this border down quite considerably, so it's not even on this side, but I think I can live with that, and it's not really that noticeable. And you probably noticed that there was a line, a decorative line on the other side of this letter T here, and I just snipped that away. And yeah, that's my finished piece for today. So let's quickly go through the prompts. A sewing item, well, I went with this stamp of the top of a cotton reel. Something your state or country is known for, well, I went for royalty. So there's my Queen Elizabeth 700th anniversary of Parliament stamp up there. An item representing a childhood memory, well, I've gone with these 3 stamps here of Jane Austen and the Brontes to represent the memory of how much I enjoyed reading as a child. Something ornate, this lovely little Norfolk chapel here. Something that starts with the letter L, well, this was my letterpress ex libris book plate here. And finally the bonus, something pink, well, I went with this image out of that lovely book. So much happier with this one today, definitely much happier. Still got that diagonal theme going on, and I really must see if I can do something about that and alter it. I'm not promising that that will happen for the next one, but I'll see what I can do, because I am recognizing that I'm more or less going with that every time. So until the next video, which will be tomorrow for assignment number 6, happy crafting everybody, and thank you so much for watching. Take care now. Bye bye.